doing the numerical values here on this to understand the essence of this the numerical value and getting the essence of the stories, it can be time consuming because we have not been taught how to do this. And of course, through the thousands of years of this of the Holy Bible being changed, we don't know. Like now we know there are very various versions to the Bible, and God knows what else had happened before. So we see that there are additions to the stories happening, and so we've been going around the mountain, so to speak, according to the rhyme, going around the mountain when she comes. That's what we have been doing here. And so we see how 4 is 6. It is 6 because when God said to Moses, the land that you have, take off your sandals, for the land that you stand upon is holy, we see holy equals 6. So the land was holy, it equals that land. It's like a formula to show how land equals 6. When we do the numerical value for land, it equals 13. But whenever we see the word is equals 10. If something is, that means the next thing that it is said that it is has to be in direct correlation with it. It has to be on the same frequency. So the land is holy, it is 6. And then when we do the numerical value here for 4, 4 also equals 6. So we see how 4 for land equals the 13, 1 and 3, which is 4 here. And when we do the numerical value for the word 4, it also equals 6. 6 is holy. That is what has happened. So now this is giving us a further insight to see the magnitude and the significance of the number 13. There has been so much, there is like a strong energy to the number 13. Even in that word holy, we can see that. Holy it's a word that we perceive with such great reverence. It's that number of man. It's the number of love. It's the number of that which God created us on the 6th day of the week. And so we see how the great significance that has attached to it. It's really amazing. So we see how going back to 8, see how 8 is 4, how 4 is land, how 4 is 6, and how 6 is holy. And so there's the story of Moses, and when God say, I am that. So we can see how that is 13. We also see how 13 ties beautifully into the story of Christ. And the other point I really wanted to highlight here is in this part here is that he, and not, in fact, it was through one of the presentations I done the numerical value for he, which equals 13. But I just want to touch on that because when God created man, and it is said God created him in his own image and likeness, we can see how now these are making sense to us. It's like, why say he and him if it is both meant to be masculine? God created them, and it's just a lot of words in that. I think Genesis of maybe chapter 1 or chapter 2, but the story goes, it reflects. There again, we see that even in the story, there seem to be like two. It's like the cutting of the story, giving you a positive side and a negative side, or the top and the bottom. It's showing too. So there we go. Let's look at, and it is said, and God created he he, and he created him, and created he them or them in his own image and likeness. Now, own is another word that we had not taken into consideration, because when God says own, we see that straight, that W, and that 3, that M is in the middle. It's in the middle. So there we are. This is in the middle. This is the vibration that is central to everything. So we have 5, 5, 6. 5 and 5, 10, and so this is 15, 16. 1 and 6 is 7. So here we see how own is in direct correlation with 1. When we do the numerical value for 1, it's really the same. The same 5, 5, and 6. 5, 5, and 6. So when God made man in his own image and likeness, this is basically the same thing, in one image and likeness. But this is where everything was so own and 1. We see that 7 is reflective here, 7 is reflective here. This is how I am now going to say as well that there were 2 gods from the onset. From the onset were 2 gods, one saying own, and of course one, as I say here, God is saying, and because we are learning 1, and then we are learning own. So there was Eve, there, God and Eve here. This is the 2. But God, we have been talking about, have been referring to himself. Of course, we are the ones referring to God as that 8. But God referred to himself on Mount Sinai with us 8 too, because we could say that it was as above, so below. Number 4 for blue, and green for earth. Green fields, blue sky. So there we see, I just want to do the word sky. S-K-Y. This is 7, 2, and 1. So sky is really 10. 10, of course, we see we have done this where there would be 5 and 5. We could say Eve and Christ would be 10 here. All right. So let's just keep things in perspective here. So basically, what we are learning here is that there are several words, names, representations of a thing. It's like, as I say, the word, the number 3 in own, the W in own is the number 3 in woman or in blood, and the E as in Eve, which also equals 5, and the M as in mother, or the M as in McDonald's, and all of those things are all transpiring here. That is the energy of 3. The number 3 that's the energy that we are seeing right there. Okay. And of course with holy, which is twice, 2 effects. So we could say the holy ground, when God was saying the holy ground, there was a reflection of the M with Moses. Of course, no wonder his name was Moses. There is the M. So God was saying, I am that, I am that, I am. So his name was Moses, M-O-S-E-S. Of course, the E here would always need to reflect Eve, because Eve was there, Mother Eve was there, always that reflection. And we see the S, the 2 S's are that movement, that energy. So we could even say that the S is behaving like the M right here. So in essence, we have got an insight that it's the insight that Moses, the M, which also reflects in 2, in the middle of 2. We see that here in the middle of 2. And of course the 3, the 13. And he, this is another thing that I said, he was reflecting, there is 8 and there is 5. It's as if this is a reflection of God, the 8, and of Eve. God and Eve. So, of course, this is the 8 that Eve ate. Again, we could also say that 8 or 8 is like a signature. It's like your surname. It's like God's stamp. It's that stamp of that derivative of wherever you have come from. And that's what Abraham had to his name, 8, but it wasn't recognized. He could not recognize it until God had changed his name, and he was able to recognize the H that was added to Sarah in his name when Sarah's name had changed to 8. And there was H at the end, and so that was 8. And of course, Abraham had H2 in his name, to his name. So there was that reflection. Even when there was an A in the middle, which the A was signifying 3, which is 1, 2, 3 strokes. So we see how that 3 comes up again. The 3 here with H is also 3 strokes. 3 strokes here, another 3 strokes. That would mean 9. And 9 as well is in direct numerical value for the word love. Let's do love, L-O-V-E. So this is 5. Let's do this. L-O-V-E. So 5, 4, 6, 3. 5, that's 9, and 9, 18. 1 and 8 equals 9. 1 and 8 equals 9. So we can see how it's everything comes back onto its own in that sense of having that vibration. It's that vibrational energy. It takes a certain pattern. I will just want to complete with him, her. So we have him as 21, H-I-M, which is 4, 9, 8. So this is 13 and so this is 21. Okay. 2 and 1 equals 3. Then we have her, and that's another thing that I felt. We don't know what has been changed or how things have gone about, but he is also part of her. He is part of her. And there we see the R as that 9 numerical value. So there we are, 5 and 8. So there we say 5 and 9 is 13. 12, 13, 14, and 8. 14 and 8 would be 22. So 2 and 2 is 4. So we see how 4 is, I kept thinking that 22 was masculine or just father because 31 is 4, but we see here is 22. So basically, it seemed like the energies that some people have captured certain energy as seeing it as just masculine, because the word master, for instance, which equals 22, is in direct correlation with her. So there we go about saying people or master, or there we have it, Christ we saw was really talking a lot about threes, about breasts, about, I'm saying that figuratively, about nurturing, about the wine, all these 21 we saw in the numerical values for blood and bread and so on, was here reflecting that M or 3, or, and here we see as her has that 22, which is a master number, okay, which equals master, and we see in the M is in master as well. So M is that it's this signature is on that M as well. So we, and she, all these so we have he, her, and we see he and her has the same numerical value, and her has 22, which we call a master number, meaning that there is a double, it's like a high vibration. We see him here, but also the M is there, which has that, the feminine, like hair, it's got this M hair, which gives that softness, that nurturing, and all of those things that we associate M with. And M also equals 4. So we can see the relationship is still here with in him. And let's do she. I'm doing she because there we see that 8 and 5, which is that he is there again with 13. 13 is 4, of course, and 1, 13 and 1 is 14. But if we do add, when we add 1 and 4, that gives us 5, the 14. So she is really Eve here. So she and Eve or Christ is the same, because that is 14. Christ comes from the lineage of 14, or generation of 14. Okay, so we can see how all those are interrelated, and his is 9. Okay, so the only softness, we see the softness in S, and of course IS is 10. So 8 and 10 is 18. 1 and 8 is 9. This is the sacrificial number here. We have seen how that plays out. So she is 5, and also hers is 23. This is 9, 5, and 8. So 9 and 8 is 17, 8 and 8, 16, and 1, 17, and 5 would be 20, 17, 18, 19, 20, oh, it's 22. Okay, let's do this again. Thought was 23, but it might be 22. So hers 9 and 5 is 12, 13, 14, and 8. So it's 20, 14, and 8. It's 22. Okay, that's interesting. So we have hers. This is funny now. Hers is 22. Hers is 22, meaning 4. Her is, well, that can't be. Hers is, well, something is not quite right here. Oh, I hadn't put that one here. So I hadn't put the 1. So this is 10, 18, 19, 20, 23. So hers is 23. That's what I thought. Okay, so this is 5. So we have 5 reflecting Eve and Christ here as hers. She is also 13, 14 is also reflecting Christ and Eve, she. So there we have 2 what we perceive as feminine, and we have he of course, is 13, but her is 22. So we have those, we could see from here that him equals 21, so that's 3. 3 giving that feminine aspect, but we associate it with a masculine side, and her we associate with something soft, but equals 22. He equals 4, 13. So we see this is why it is said, in God there is no Jew, no Gentile, no male, no female. And I'm thinking that this is an example of such, that we see it is about energy. Energy, energy, energy. But of course, the patterns of those energies is what we associate with, that which gives, that which the breastfeeds or nurtures and so on. And of course, nurturing is not only from that standpoint, because we are talking about love at the end of the day. So there we are, there we are, there we are. And I think I have covered 8. That was the point I really wanted to make, that the number 8 really equals 4. And when God was faced with it, meaning Moses, God said, I am that, because that, of course, I am that. There were 2 sections to 8. 8 was half, because everything God saw, and in that sense we could say everything God saw, he saw it was good. So meaning there was everything God did, yes, everything God done, he saw it, everything. And that would perhaps mean that whatever he saw with Moses being whole, he saw that it was half. God was a master carpenter or whatever it was, so he saw it in half. And of course, when you saw something in half, there is the left side to it and there is the right side to it, meaning that this would be the 13 and this would be the 31. Voila. I hope you have found this fun. I hope you have found this, insightful some way. I would like to believe so. And while time is very precious to both of us, that we are growing together, I am hoping that we can be sharing and clicking the like button for this as well. And because this is how we do it, we share to actualizing soulful love. And of course, again, stay blessed, stay bright, be a field, because we are planting new seeds, and stay ignited. Namaste. And spill over with love. That's what we're about.